I mean, it's just there's always going to be something. One of my favorites is busyness, and I used to be a busy guy. You know, hey Braden, how's it going? Oh, busy. I literally answered busy for years of my life until I just decided that I didn't want to be busy any longer. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to How to Invest in Commercial Real Estate.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Go Tom Brady.
Yeah.
No, it's too soon.
Too soon. Way too soon. Today is all about taking action. So, you know, a lot of people can educate themselves, and even by listening to this podcast, hopefully by listening to this podcast and watching the video, you're learning something, we're teaching something. But at the end of the day, you know, knowledge without application is meaningless. You've got to do something. You've got to take the first step. You've got to dive in, whether that's investing money. You know, you can delay that forever. You can find a million reasons not to do it. You can start buying property yourself. But like eventually you've got to take the first step. And I think the biggest thing is people get, you know, scared or wrapped up in something that's wrong on the deal maybe. And there's probably going to be something wrong on almost everything that you're going to have to get comfortable with. I mean,
yeah, I think a good point for people to appreciate that we've been doing this now. I've been doing it now for 18, 17 years or something, is that you're never going to be comfortable. People may think, well, Joel, you're so comfortable, you buy a lot of deals. Absolutely not, right? I'm always second guessing myself. I'm always saying, is this going to make as much money? What if these tenants move out? What if the market shifts, interest rates go up? All of those factors are always going to be in play. And so, you know, this is Motivational Monday, and we're trying to teach you guys, how do you get yourself to take that action? And what we want you to understand is you will feel uncomfortable, but you're not going to get rid of that. You can keep reading books and you can keep going over the material, but at some point you're going to have to go for it.
yeah, and I mean, you're raising money. You're signing on debt. You know, it can be scary. You got to get comfortable with it. But I think one of the biggest things is getting comfortable with being uncomfortable and getting comfortable with the knowledge it takes to do your underwriting. You know, you're going to have to get comfortable somehow with the problem. So,
Well, I think if people get comfortable underwriting, so maybe they look at a few properties and maybe they go into it thinking they're not even going to make offers. Maybe they think, well, okay, I just want to get some information. I'm going to underwrite it myself. As I go through and I underwrite it, I'm going to come up with questions, and maybe that's where I start.
yeah,
And then make some offers. I mean, once you start doing this over a few times, you're going to get more and more comfortable.
absolutely. Absolutely. But people are going to ask you questions, and late at night when you're trying to go to sleep, your mind's going to talk to you, right? And there's always going to be reasons or a reason not to do it. The little heartburn on a deal, it seems like every deal has it, a little hair. You know, we had a closing, and the deal was almost done too good. You know, it needed something. So, you know, you've just got to, you know, a problem isn't a problem now. You know, when we get these problems that come up, it's just like, oh, I was expecting that. You know, that was about due for a little fire that we had to put out. But it's just the idea that, hey, this is what I'm doing. These things are going to come up. You know, nothing's going to be perfect. You know, whether it's your accountant or your management company, your properties or your tenants, you know, shit's going to happen. And I don't know who said it, but, you know, everybody's got a plan until they get knocked in the mouth. What is that, Mayweather?
No, Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson, a little better than Mayweather.
But, you know, I want to encourage people that the only way you're going to change your life is to go and take a risk and make the change. And it doesn't have to be real estate. It can apply to anything, taking a job or making a move. And I think back about those big moves for me. And each time, life demanded more than I wanted to give in that instance. It felt scary, but life required me to go all in. And I think I've said it before, life requires payment up front and in advance.
Ooh,
you know, love that. Yeah. So you've got to put the work in, and you've got to put it all on the line ahead of when the rewards come. I don't know, Brian, you've had a couple of those instances in your life.
Yeah, well, one is just making a change from, I was at a company for like 22 years. And so trying to change jobs from that, it's a little frightening, a little intimidating. I'm sure lots of people that are listening have gone through that. But then also, back when I was involved in the purchase of our company, we had a few of the partners, but we put all the money that we had into it.
Signed your names?
Signed our name. And we had, I don't remember how much it was, but it was millions and millions of dollars of debt that we'd signed on to. And basically all my money was put to the down payment essentially of that business. And the reason we were able to buy the company was because the company was on its way down. I mean, we were losing business, and so trying to buy a company that's kind of losing revenue and on its way down is pretty frightening. And our idea was to turn it around and sell it a few years later, and fortunately that's what we did. Not too different than real estate, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, that sounds insane when you put it like that. I mean, just getting comfortable with all those problems. I mean, I almost lost you when you said your money went to the down payment and there was millions of dollars of debt, which means your money's gone.
Yeah, essentially it was. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, there's always going to be something. One of my favorites is busyness. Mm-hmm. And I used to be a busy guy, Hey, Braden, how's it going? Oh, busy. I literally answered busy for years of my life until I just decided that I didn't want to be busy any longer. But it's funny because on every single deal, almost every single deal, somebody reaches out to me or, whoever and says, hey, can I still get in on that deal? It's like, no, it closed. That was a month ago, bro. And it's on every single one. And every single time somebody wants in, somebody likes the idea. And it's just with anything, right? Whether you're buying the deal, whether you're investing in the deal, you got to do it. You got to sit down. You got to read through the material. You got to make sure it's comfortable. And then you have to accept the fact of, oh, wow, I'm doing something big. I'm taking a risk. And
one thing that's helped me is partnering with someone. So you kind of hold yourself or each other accountable, and maybe you have strengths and weaknesses between the two of you, and or more. Like when I bought the company here, quite a while back, we had multiple partners in on that, and we all knew something different. We all brought our strengths to the table, and then when you and I partnered together, then we hold each other accountable to do certain things. And so, if you have somebody there to bounce ideas off of, and you guys are going at it together, then that gives a little bit of comfort to me personally.
Great point. I appreciate that. Victor and I had a really strong partnership early on, and there's just something about doing it with somebody. You're going to tackle it together. Yeah, it's going to be scary. There's going to be risks, but that really is a motivator. And I would definitely encourage people. In my case, neither Vic or I had any experience. It's better if you find a partner that has experience. Yeah. But even if you don't, just going through that process together can help motivate you to keep going when it gets tough.
Definitely. Yeah, it's like a semi quasi marriage in a sense. It helps knowing somebody else believes in the same vision.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing is you can't really ever stop. It's not like this thing that you learn and you just stop. That's why I refer to it as getting comfortable being uncomfortable, because it's something you're always going to have to do for the rest of your life. And as soon as you stop, you're going to get comfortable and you're going to stop taking risks. Mm-hmm. It's it. You have to be in there. You have to know, okay, I could wake up today and shit could hit the fan. Everything, all these problems could start happening, but you just deal with them because that's what you're doing. You're just nice and comfy knowing that everything could go haywire tomorrow and you're going to deal with it. Yeah. That's what it is.
That's good. We have had a lot of success on a lot of deals. But I always have to challenge myself to take the next risk, because every time it's just easier to do nothing. So I want people to hear that, like the people that don't invest in your deal and they tell you afterwards, oh, I wish I'd have done that. I have investors that tell me that all the time. Oh, I knew that deal was going to be a good deal. I wish I'd invested in that.
Bet you did.
I could have, I would have, I should have. But the difference is, I did it. Yeah. Or investors, they invested. And so it's just important to understand that. And I also want to say that we've passed on a lot of really good opportunities, because even me, having bought a bunch of deals, was a little afraid of the risk and didn't want to put myself out there too much. And so I think we're just trying to encourage people that they've got to battle that. And that's the difference between winning at this game and not doing anything, or never even starting, is being able to deal with the risk.
Yeah. And going back to your thing on partnerships, we did a deal here locally, and it was a deal it was a little weirder than a typical deal. It was colonial, right? And having a partner that doesn't want to be a part of that deal, like this yin and yang of like, no, I don't want to do that, and yes, I want to do that. That's awesome, because the guy who wants to do it so bad that every reason the guy who doesn't want to do it gives to him, he's going to prove him wrong, right? So like when you're being faced with all these obstacles of like, oh, what about that? What if this tenant leaves? I thought about that, and here's what we do. Oh, what about the roof? Oh man, we figured that out. Don't worry about it. What about this? What about that? And the partner or whoever you're partnering with, or, could be your broker, could be your seller, could be your mortgage banker. Like, all these people are going to bring up problems potentially in the deal that you have to explain, what could happen if that happens. And it's really healthy to surround yourself with people looking at it and just, different set of eyes, fresh set of eyes, could really help.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. One of the other things I want to talk about is a big reason why people aren't going to do this. They're not going to invest in commercial real estate. They're not going to be a sponsor. Is the fear of losing money.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were talking about risk before. Risk really, the real problem with risk is it's the fear, right? And in this case, when you're investing, it's like you're saying, it's the fear of losing money.
And it's, I want to be real. Specific, that we're talking about the loss of money and how emotional that is for people. Culturally, I think everybody could agree is we're embarrassed to talk about losing money. Mm-hmm. We can talk about failing at a lot of different stuff, but when it comes, I tried this job, I did that, I failed at this guy beat me at bats, whatever. You can fail, but when it comes to money, we like to keep that secret. Mm-hmm. And the reason we do is because of how embarrassing it is and how much shame culture puts on people that are dumb enough to lose money. Yeah. And so for those that are listening, I know that this is going to ring true to you, because it did for me, is that you have to get comfortable and you have to be okay with losing money to be successful at this game. Now, I don't want to lose money more than anybody else, but that was the big thing that even my wife and I both had to get over, was to say, we're going to do this, and it's most likely that we're going to lose money. Okay, how do we feel? And emotionally, it's just so scary. It's so hard. And that itself is what keeps people trapped in the life that they're in more than pretty much anything else. Is I don't want to lose money. I'm afraid of losing money. I'm afraid of how it's going to make me feel, how I'm going to look to my relatives, who's going to judge me. Yeah. So I don't know about you guys if you have some thoughts on that. I think it's a big one.
Well, especially with a spouse or something, right? I mean, you go out and convince your spouse that you're going to do this thing and it's going to return great things for your family, and you can imagine if you did something like that and you lost money, how humbling that would be. But to me, if in this deal or any deal, when you lose money, you learn a lesson, mm-hmm. and you learn why you lost the money, and the next time you don't make that same mistake. Maybe you make a different mistake the next time, but pretty soon you're going to learn all these lessons and you're going to become successful. And so that's why, I'm right with Joel that you got to overcome that fear of losing money.
It's the most expensive education,
it is.
Potentially, but it's the best education because learning from other people's losses is the best way to do it. If you can pay attention and hopefully learn and don't make those same mistakes, but you don't have that emotional attachment to it. You don't have that emotional aversion. And after you lose money doing something, that's emotionally ingrained in you more than you know.
That's a lesson you'll never forget.
And you're not gonna do it again. And it's so important because no matter what sum of money, there's a lesson to be learned. There has to be, or else you're just
Yeah, in life, it typically goes like this with money, is that as soon as you lose money, I'll never do that again. Where other things in life, we keep trying and trying and trying, and we learn from our mistakes and we get better. But with money, we don't tend to want to do that. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's going to lose money. That's not what I'm saying. Think about it. It's being okay with losing money.
Right.
So you can watch us, learn from our mistakes, watch the podcast, and you can go and know everything about the deal. But when it comes to signing on the dotted line and putting down $50,000 of your hard-earned savings,
maybe it's not even yours,
right? What I'm saying, if you still have a fear of losing money and holding on to every dollar, you're not going to take the steps to buy.
Yeah.
And then you're never going to have the reward. You may not have lost money on that deal, but that fear will keep you frozen in time, and it'll keep you from taking a chance on a deal that deep down is or could be a really good deal.
Yeah. I used to sell shoes. This is going to sound insane because it's way off topic, but the number one trick to selling shoes is get the customer to try on the shoes, because 2/3 of people who put on the shoes are not going to take them off. They're literally going to walk out of the store with the shoes on. And the fear of loss is one of the best sales tactics around, because it's true. Once you have something us humans, we don't want to lose it. That's mine. I collect it. It's the same thing with money. You know, people have this idea that saving money gets them rich. It's insane. Just not doing anything, you're stuck in complete stagnation. You're not going to do anything. You're not getting comfortable taking on new risks. You're not, investing in deals, because investing literally implies that it could go horribly wrong, right? So if you're not okay with the fact, like you just said, you have to be okay with that. And if you're not, you're an idiot who thinks everything is going to go right and you just haven't lost yet, or you're not ever going to get comfortable with the risk, right? But when you're sending money out the door, you have to accept the fact that it could not come back. And most of the time when you're spending it, like just swiping the card, it's definitely not going to come back. You swipe it and it never comes back. But people are fine doing that. Swipe, 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 never coming back. It's fine. But when you have to invest it, what if I lose it?
That's a good point. I have to say my next point then, because I was thinking about this when you were talking. It always amazes me when I see political donations, and people are giving decently large sums of money, maybe direct to the candidate, or maybe even larger sums to a super PAC. And think about it in investment terms. They're literally promised to lose 100% of the capital with no return on investment, or very little return. Maybe they think that politician might win. I happen to think all the money spent doesn't really change a lot of people's minds. But so think about it. You give $100,000 to a super PAC, and you're guaranteed 100% loss of capital. Now flip it around. I go to somebody and I say, hey, would you like to invest $100,000 on this deal that I think is going to compound 20% a year for the next 5 years? Mm-hmm. Or they're like, whoa, are you scamming me? Are you going to lose my money? What if I don't make what if I don't make 20% return?
What if I only make 15?
Yeah. It's very interesting, because in the one scenario, like you were saying, is they decided to give the money, and so it's okay that the money's gone. Mm-hmm. But in my case, there's a potential for loss, and they're freaked out, and they think, why is Joel trying to get my money? And yet we're delivering return after return every year to them. Now there is a chance that they could lose the capital, or some of the capital, or I don't make the numbers. But people give all the time to various things with no expectation. But as soon as they're at risk of losing a dollar by investing, emotionally it takes over, and they don't want to part with it. Yeah,
I mean, it kind of brings me to one of my last things here is, maybe the difference between an asset and a liability. I mean, an asset's probably something that's paying you, and a liability is something that you have no expectation of the return of money. It's not paying you. If anything, you're having to pay to upkeep it. And I mean, people are just okay with spending money and gaining tons of liabilities, massive cars, houses. I mean, houses could arguably be considered an asset, maybe, but
yeah, there's no risk in buying a car, $100,000 car. You get to drive it, and it's not, even though you're losing money
immediately,
it's okay because you bought the car. But investing is scarier than buying the car for some reason, and one's going to pay off financially, and one's going to cost you financially.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's what you said, as it's is it just as simple as I decided to buy the car, so it's okay because I decided that. But when I decided to invest the $100,000, I didn't decide to lose it, right? It was that person's fault, and then maybe they were victimized. Maybe that was the mindset of. Anyway, we don't have to dive too deep into that.
No, it's a real emotion, though, and I wanted to talk about it today, just so people understand that getting over that emotion is what's going to be required to be successful in this game.
Yeah. Well, get comfortable being uncomfortable. It's required to invest in commercial real estate. Make sure to subscribe, check us out on howtoinvestincre.com. If you haven't already, make sure to download your free letter of intent on howtoinvestincre. And we will be back in a few days with another episode.
All right,
guys.
Thanks.